Hey, if you've got a Norcold refrigerator in your RV, I need you to listen to this. As of February 2026, Norcold is done. Not restructuring, but done. After 66 years as one of the 2 names in RV refrigerators, it's over. And most RVers still don't know what that actually means for their warranty, their parts, or what happens when their fridge gives out. We're going to have that conversation today, right here, from one of the most beautiful spots we've been parked in a long time. Hey Ramblers, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, we're Ramblin' Reflections. I'm Steve. Rose and I are just full-time RVers living in our Grand Design fifth wheel since 2021. And we share what we learn, what we love, and what doesn't live up to the hype. No highlight reels, just real talk. Today, we'll be coming to you from Waterside in Blue Ridge, Georgia. And yeah, it looks even better in person. Some of you might be wondering how we ended up here. Well, we've been chasing that sweet spot of spring weather for quite a while now, where it's not too hot and not too cold. We've had some highs here while we've been here in the upper 70s, and at nights we've had a couple nights that got downright too cold for me in the low 40s, I think even the high 30s. So it's not been absolutely perfect, but Blue Ridge has been on our radar for quite a while. We have family in the area, and my best friend James lives here. You met him in an earlier episode maybe when he came down in the Florida Keys. Check that episode out right here if you hadn't seen it. The Appalachian foothills with all the apple houses and the motorcycle riding on those mountain back roads and fishing those mountain streams, it's just hard to pass up. I haven't done any fishing on this trip yet, but I did go turkey hunting with James the other day, or as I like to say, I took my shotgun for a hike in the woods. The only turkeys we saw out there were each other. But this area of North Georgia, it is really, really nice. And Waterside showed up on one of our searches one day, and it checked a lot of the boxes. When you pull into Waterside, the first thing you notice is a nice, quaint community-like feel. I mean, there's not a lot of old campers or rundown permanent spots in here. It's a very well-maintained park. There's not too many sites in here that don't have some sort of water access either. The sites are mostly concrete, and the majority of them are back ends. There are a couple of pull-through sites up top also, and a lot of the sites have nice gazebos out behind them. And hanging out in there at night is really relaxing. They have a pool, but I didn't see any hot tubs. And they have, I wouldn't call it a clubhouse, but they have a social meeting place across the parking lot from the pool with nice chairs and TVs. And you can sit there and watch them, and they have a public restroom with showers and everything else in there. Now, something worth mentioning here because I want to be real with you. This is a largely permanent resident park. A lot of folks here are long-term. This is their home base, not just a stopover. So it did feel more like a neighborhood than a campground, which was very relaxing to us, but it's worth mentioning so you know before you book. And here's our site. Let me turn this around for you. We've got this big old deck that sits right on the edge of the pond. I'm talking right out on the water. In fact, today we just had a kid catch a big old catfish out of the pond while I was sitting here working. Man, it really makes it hard to go inside when you're sitting out here. Look at all this. Super nice deck. Well, we'll get to the full verdict on Waterside in just a minute, but first, come sit with me on the deck, because I told you at the top of this video, we're going to have a conversation about Norcold, and it's about time for that. So let's head on over that way. All right, so we try to do something a little different on this channel. Not just be B-roll and here's the pool, We want to actually sit down and talk about the things that matter to people who are living this lifestyle or thinking about living this life. And right now, one of those things is Norcold. And honestly, this is one of those things where if you don't know yet, you need to know. So here's the scoop. I just found out about this week, yesterday actually. I was in the middle of doing another video when I read this, and I knew I had to get this out to you guys as soon as I could. So I stopped that video and started this one. So it seems Back in November of 2025, Norcold filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. No, Chapter 11 isn't automatically a death sentence. That's a reorganization. Companies go through Chapter 11 and come out on the other side all the time. So when this first broke, a lot of people thought, okay, they'll restructure, they'll be back leaner. We've seen that before in the RV industry. But by February of 2026, the bankruptcy court approved a liquidation plan, and that's an entirely different thing altogether. Liquidation means they're not restructuring, they're winding down. Norcold, 66 years old, one of the two dominant names in RV refrigerators for as long as most of us can remember, is gone. I think a lot of people may have seen that headline and thought, oh, that's too bad. But what they didn't really stop and think about is, what does that mean for my rig right now? So let's actually talk through that. There's three things you need to think about. Number one, warranty. If you've got a Norcold that's still supposed to be under warranty, this is where it gets complicated. The company is dissolving, so who honors your warranty now? Honestly, that's still murky. I looked into this and I read all I could find about it, and the most recent reporting I've seen couldn't give a definitive answer either way. When the people covering this industry can't give you a straight answer, that should tell you something right there. So if you're buying a used RV right now and the selling point includes an active Norcold warranty, I wouldn't lean on that too much. Get the price negotiated accordingly. But that leads us to number two, and honestly, this is the one I care most about for people who have a Norcold running fine right now. Third-party suppliers still have inventory. There are companies out there like RV Fridge Guys and others who stock Norcold parts and who can service these units. That doesn't disappear overnight, but, and this is important, new parts are not going to be continued to be manufactured. That inventory is finite. As it gets used up over the next few years, parts are going to get harder and harder to find, and more expensive, I assume. So if you've got a Norcold that's working, great, maintain it, but just don't ignore the warning signs. If it's running at all rough, get it looked at now while parts are still available. Don't wait. So number three, what do you do if your Norcold refrigerator dies and you need to replace it? Well, you've basically got two paths. Path one is a direct replacement with a Dometic. Dometic is now the last man standing in absorption refrigeration. Propane and electric, the same basic technology, same footprint in most cases. If you need a straight swap with a minimal modification, that's your move. Path two, and this is something a lot of people are already considering anyway, the 12-volt compressor fridge. Residential style, no propane, no open flames inside your RV. It's more reliable long-term technology. It's honestly where the industry has been headed for years. But it's not a plug-and-play swap. You're going to need to modify your electrical system to support it. Ideally, lithium batteries and an adequate solar panel. So it's a bigger project. It's the right call for some rigs and some lifestyles, but it's not the right call for everybody. We actually went through two Norcold refrigerators before Rose asked me to just put in a residential refrigerator. So that's another option too, but it still required a lot more work. Hey, what fridge is in your RV? Is it a Dometic? If it is, you're not into the immediate fire, but there are a lot of people in the community who are. Here's the bigger thing I want to say though. Norcold, it's not an isolated story. Lazy Days RV, for example, it was one of the biggest dealership chains in the country. It collapsed last year. Thor Industries has been restructuring its brands. The RV industry had this massive surge in 2020 and 2021, and now there's a correction happening. So some of the names we thought that were permanent fixtures, they're not. Now, that's not a reason to panic. It's a reason to go in with your eyes wide open. Know what you're buying. Know what's in your rig. Have a plan for when things do break, because believe me, they will break. And know where to get help before you need it urgently. Well, the best advice I can offer is keep an eye on what's happening in the RV industry, because it's not done changing. All right, well, we want to hear from y'all. If you've got a Norcold fridge in your rig, tell us what's going on. Are you keeping it and hoping for the best, or are you already shopping for a replacement? Are you looking at the 12-volt fridge? Drop it in the comments. We genuinely want to know where people are on this. All right, let's bring it back to Waterside. You came here for a campground review, and we're going to give you one. Here's an honest verdict. This site on the pond, it's an unbelievable site. It's one of our favorites, no doubt. That deck over the water here, that alone makes this place worth it for the right person. Let's talk about amenities. the pool and the facilities. It's not the fanciest setup we've ever stayed at, but it's certainly a nice setup. Would we come back? Absolutely. In fact, this is our second time staying here, and we may be coming back sooner rather than later here next month. If you want quiet and you want nature, or if you want a beautiful base camp for just exploring the North Georgia mountains, this might be your spot. Downtown Blue Ridge is just a few miles down the road, and there are wineries and restaurants and the scenic railway. There are all kinds of attractions nearby. There's lots of hiking trails, and for that combination of scenery and access, Waterside delivers. Well, all right, Ramblers, that's the real talk this week. Norcold, Blue Ridge, and a pond we didn't want to leave. So if you found this video helpful, drop us a thumbs up. It genuinely helps the channel more than you would ever know. And if you got a Norcold situation or you've already made the switch to something else, we want to hear your story in the comments section. So drop us a line down there. Hey, if you're new here, or you're just thinking about RV life, or you're already living it and you want the unfiltered version, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. We put something new out every week. So guys, as always, stay safe out there. We'll see you next week.